Mexico!
Geography now.
Mexico!
Yeah, see.
Let's learn about some Mexico. I have been to Mexico for one day. I went to Cozumel for one singular day. So that's my experience. I remember eating some food there and it was delicious.
Oh.
The rice was delicious. I don't know what kind of rice it was. It was yellow, but it tasted very good. Very, very good. Let's learn about some Mexico.
Yeah.
'Cause, I don't know much other than Cozumel Beach.
Yeah, I don't know much at all. I've not been to Mexico either.
So let's find out right here, right now with a Geography Now. If you enjoy, subscribe, like the video, let us know what stuff from Mexico that we should check out, reactions, whatever. I'm sure eventually someday we'll end up going there.
For sure, yeah.
Doing some vlogging there or something. There's a lot of cool things that you need to see in Mexico.
Oh yeah, it's a big country.
It is very big. Let's do it. Geography Now. Here we go.
Finalmente hemos llegado al episodio de México, pero no puedo hacer esto sin un mexicano de verdad. Denle la bienvenida a mi amigo César de Puerto Vallarta.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
César, si tú
Is it all
tuvieras
gonna be
que
Spanish?
decir una cosa de México para abrir este episodio, ¿cuál sería?
Pues México es un país místico, colorido, lleno de cultura y tradiciones. México va mucho más allá que el
Faces
mariachi
he's making.
solamente. Pronto les contaremos.
Bueno. Oh, yeah, and he speaks English too.
Oh, yeah, I went to college in Texas, so a little bit.
It's time to learn geography.
Now.
Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbs.
Hey,
And I'm
Barbs.
Cesar.
As you know,
Hey,
I'm
Cesar.
American, Caesar's Mexican. We're neighbors. I'm excited. You excited?
Yes, I'm very excited for this episode. You know, I've been following Geography Now since like the BC countries, so this is something I've been waiting for a long time now.
Oh, by the way, we stopped doing sponsored brands on country episodes, but this time we'll break that rule because Caesar can hook you up in Puerto Vallarta. Caesar, tell them what they need to know.
Yes, well, visit discoverpvr.com. Check it out. Tours, transportation, transfers, everything you need.
And Geography Now endorses them. All right, comenzamos.
Sí, bienvenidos a México. Named after the Mexica people from ancient Aztec times, Mexico is a powerhouse on the world stage.
And it's hard to imagine how the entire Latin world, let alone the Western Hemisphere, would operate without it. First of all, Mexico is located on the southern part of the North American continent, straddling the Pacific Ocean, Gulf of California, and the Gulf of Mexico, bordered by the US to the north and Guatemala and Belize to the southeast.
The country is divided into 32 federal entities, 31 states, one of which is called Mexico, and the capital city of Mexico City. Oh, and Mexico City is technically sinking about 10 to 20 centimeters a year because it was built on a lake.
That's always a good
With a
idea.
big metropolitan population over 21 million, Mexico City is the largest city and oldest capital city in the entire Western Hemisphere, and in itself has about the same GDP and economy as the entire country of Peru.
After
Wow.
Mexico City, though, the next largest cities are Guadalajara in Jalisco and Monterrey in Nuevo León. And if you
Monterrey.
come here, you will most likely fly to one of the busiest airports.
The capital's Mexico City International, then the second place is actually Cancun,
Oh,
then
wow.
Guadalajara and Monterrey Internationals. Yeah, we Americans love Cancun and we love going there all the time.
And we do too. Just clean up your vomit next time, okay?
Ew.
No promises. Today, Mexico has no territorial disputes. They did once with France over Clipperton Island, but that got settled. Otherwise, the border with the U.S., yeah, we know what you're thinking, but hear me out. It actually does have some quirky anomalies.
For example, on the border with Tijuana, there's a friendship park where you can chat and shake hands with locals of both sides through a fence that goes all the way into the Pacific.
Further east in California, two towns split by the border kind of trolled each other. One named itself Mexicali and the other side Calexico.
And
What
in
the
Waco,
heck?
Arizona, the local residents have a cross-border volleyball game every so often.
Oh.
No,
Whoa.
we don't want to sugarcoat everything. Yes, there are certain sections that are more barricaded and strict on the crossings, but besides the complicated nature behind these issues, there's a lot more to it than most media outlets portray. Speaking of territorial anomalies,
In the southernmost state of Mexico, Chiapas has some interesting towns that operate under a system called usos y costumbres, which means something like autonomous customary law. The people, mostly of indigenous descent, govern their own internal affairs, and the government just kind of lets them do their own thing without
Interesting.
interference. It sounds kind of scary, but But today, it's actually kind of a dark fascination that has drawn in a ton of tourists.
And finally, let's just get it over with. Just like how we discussed in the Italy episode, everybody knows about it. It's nothing new. To a varying degree of power and disputable boundaries, yes, certain areas of Mexico do still kind of fall under cartel influence. It's a very strange system run by underground individuals that kind of meshes itself into normalcy with everyday citizens.
There are syndicates like the Cartel of Sinaloa in the northwest, the Zetas in the northeast, the Familia Michoacana in the center of the country, and the Jalisco Nueva Generación in the west.
Caesar, I'll let you explain this.
Today, it's very hard to estimate how many people are still involved and how much money is coming out, since numbers are always changing, especially after the war was declared on the cartels by the government in 2006 by President Calderon. But for what it's worth, the situation is still being dealt with today. Most Mexicans can agree that this operation largely failed. A large portion of the violence in Mexico is still caused by disputes between cartels for territory.
Thank you, Caesar.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way, because
Interesting,
now we
yeah.
can lighten up a bit and talk about the almost infinite number of beautiful, notable spots Mexico has to offer.
Hey!
Some cool man-made landmarks might include places like
The Basilica de Guadalupe in Mexico City,
UNAM, the oldest university in North America,
Oh.
the Castle of Chapultepec,
the catacombs at Templo Expiatorio,
Biblioteca Vasconcelos,
Cheevers.
tunnels of Puebla,
the Plaza
Oh,
de
can we-
Toros,
Templo Expiatorio,
Biblioteca Vasconcelos,
the
Can we
tunnels
crawl around in those tunnels?
Yeah.
of Puebla,
the Plaza de Toros Mexico,
the bronze sculptures of Puerto Vallarta, and if you're in for some creepy stuff,
the Casa de los Lamentos in Guanajuato,
Torture Museum of Hacienda del Cochero,
the Mummy Museum in Guanajuato,
that
Oh.
creepy doll island of Las Muñecas,
and every so often
Ah.
you might come across a Malverde altar. He's the patron saint of drug cartels.
they have a patron saint for drug cartels.
Epic.
But best
What
for last,
the-
there are hundreds of Mesoamerican pyramids and sites. Some are possibly yet to be discovered, hidden in the jungles, but the most famous ones probably being
Cholula, which is the largest monument ever constructed according to the Guinness World Records.
Wow.
Monte Alban,
Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon.
and one of the new 7 wonders of the world, the Mayan Pyramid of Chichen Itza. Keep in mind, we said man-made. I know a lot of you might be wondering, why didn't they talk about all the cool natural sites like the cenotes, cenotes, or the
That's so
volcanoes and
Wow.
canyons? Well, that's
Jeez.
because that stuff will belong in the next section, the
Geography.
Mexico's land is kind of like a piñata, colorful and full of surprises.
Dude, a piñata? You really rushed this part of the script, didn't you?
Yes, I did. First of all, the country is located on the west edge where the North American plate meets the Pacific plate, making them part of the larger Ring of Fire.
The country
Uh-oh.
is made up of 3 main mountain chains. The Sierra Madre Occidental, which has the largest lake, the Lake of Chapala in Jalisco. The Sierra Madre Oriental, which has the highest mountain peak, or Pico de Orizaba. And Sierra Madre del Sur, which effectively surrounds the large Mexican plateau in the middle.
A narrow flat valley lies between the Chiapas Mountains, which then swings up to the flat, humid Yucatan to the southeast. Oh yeah, and don't forget the arid Baja Peninsula to the west.
At the bottom of the plateau lies the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt, where most of the seismic and volcanic activity lies. The country
Oh,
has
boy.
about 44 volcanoes.
44.
The most violent one is considered to be the Popocatépetl, which is less than 70 kilometers away from Ciudad
What
de
the?
México. There's also the world's smallest volcano, Cuexcomate, in Puebla, at only 13 meters
What the
high.
heck?
Aw, what a cute little force of destruction.
Oh, that's nothing. A volcano once randomly erupted out of a dude's farm in 1943 in Michoacán. It grew over 1,000 feet tall.
Whoa!
What
the Rio
the
Grande River,
heck?
which makes part of the border shared with Texas, is the country's longest river. However, the longest non-shared river completely in Mexico would be the Nazas Agua Naval.
Along the coast are flatter green plains.
Basically, the north part is rockier and drier with landmarks like the Barrancas del Cobre Canyon and the Sonoma Desert with the massive crater-pocketed Tecolote
Whoa.
lava fields, whereas the
That's
south
cool.
part is humid and lush with biosphere reserves and rainforests harboring thousands of animal species.
Speaking of which, Mexico ranks as the 4th most biodiverse country in the planet, 10 to 12% of the world's biodiversity.
Oh, and
Volcano
bugs.
rabbit?
There's a monarch butterfly sanctuary at Pátzcuaro.
And the firefly forest in Tlaxcala, as
Whoa.
well as the national animal, the golden eagle, and the most iconic dog
Thank
breed,
you.
the Chihuahua, the smallest dog in the world, and the nearly hairless Choloscuincle,
Oh
or
boy,
Cholo
those
dog.
guys look
Remember we saw
tough.
those
He's got
dogs when I
mohawk.
visited you, Caesar, and then yeah, that was like my second favorite part of the whole trip.
And what was your first favorite part?
The part where you introduced Esclava to me, and then remember I got a little tipsy, and then we played poker, and then I won, and then I almost fell down and It's funny though, because Mexico also has a ton of like secret hidden natural land formations. There's that strange 153-kilometer long underground river in the Yucatan.
Whoa.
The Sótano de las Golondrinas in San Luis Potosí, which is
What
the
the-
largest cave shaft in the world.
What the
Giant
heck?
crystals in the caves of
Oh,
Nanga.
yeah.
There's even the Islas Marietas,
that's
which
cool.
has a hidden beach inside a hole in the island.
You almost brought me there, but we couldn't go in.
Yeah, unfortunately, the weather conditions didn't permit it, but still, visit discoverpvr.com.
Yeah, I'll come back and visit someday.
Wait, can I come?
Yeah, sure. Catch.
What are these, goggles?
Yeah, you can swim there from Long Beach.
Resource-wise, Mexico is the world's largest producer of avocados, silver,
They introduced tons of new foods that would make their way across the globe, namely the big four: corn, chiles, chocolate, and tomatoes.
We would not have pizza if it wasn't for Mexico.
Oh
And that's
my
it.
god.
Oh, and dear Mexico, thank you for
What would the
inventing
Italians
tahini
do?
and chamoy. My life was empty before this discovery.
Food-wise, there's too much to cover, but generally speaking, there are 7 regions of cuisine. In the Yucatan Peninsula, they love the anato seeds. They have Mayan dishes like bok chuk. In the south, the
What did you say
tlayudas
that
are
was?
very anato
Chuk?
seeds.
I
They
don't
have
know.
Citrus marinated grilled meat.
Oh,
What
wow.
kind of meat?
I don't know.
Mayan dishes like bok chuk. In the south, the tlayudas are very popular,
Whoa.
and the chapulines.
Grasshoppers.
Grasshopper tacos?
Oh,
That would be interesting.
for sure.
Are they seasoned?
Well, I would assume,
They
hopefully.
just throw them in a pot and boil them up.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Grasshopper taco. Taste test?
Yeah.
Remember, Ken, we tried those and they were good, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You're fired. Anyway,
In the Baja California, there are plenty of fish dishes and other seafood. The Bajío is very popular for their guacamayas. In the north, they love cabrito is very popular in Monterrey, and they also have a big Tex-Mex influence. In the west, we eat pozole, birria, and we also invented tequila. In the center of Mexico, there's a lot of tortas, mole, and chile poblano. Economy-wise, Mexico is the 15th largest in the world in nominal terms, and 11th by purchasing power.
and they are busy. The World Trade Organization and OECD has ranked Mexico as the hardest working country in the world. On
Really?
average,
Wow.
they work over 43 hours a week.
Jeez.
That's it.
Dude, that actually seems pretty low, to be honest.
Main exports of the country include things like automobiles, electronics. They are the largest flat screen television exporter in the world as of 2017. We covered a lot. Okay, I think that's most of it. Landscape, animals, resources, food, economy. Okay, yeah.
Should we talk about Mexican people now?
Yeah, why not? Next section, go.
You know, it's kind of complicated because there's 3 different kinds of titles for Mexican. First of all, you have the Mexicano, which means it's a person from Mexico. The Mexiquense is a person from the state of Mexico. And the Mexiqueño, or as we call them, Chilangos, is a person from the capital, Mexico City.
So,
Weird.
yeah, take note on that. First of all, the country is made up of about 124 million people and is the largest Spanish-speaking country and largest economy in the Latin world. It's a little difficult to get exact numbers because there are a lot of opinions on race in Mexico, and the official census does not technically collect data on ethnicity, but overall, it is said that somewhere around 2/3 of the country identifies as Mexican mestizo, about 21% identify as predominantly Amerindian, whereas 7% identify as straight-up Amerindian. The remainder is made up of other groups, mostly white European Mexicans, while a small group of Asians like Lebanese, Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans exist, alongside Afro-Mexicans, which make up about 1.2% of the population.
Interesting.
We use the Mexican peso
Very
as our
diverse.
currency, and we use type A and B American-style plug outlets, and we drive on the right side of the road. All the countries speak Spanish. However, technically, it isn't an official language. The
Really?
country recognizes 68 other indigenous languages.
These tribes each have their own unique story and history that goes back thousands of years before colonialism, as depicted by petroglyphs, codexes, and Mesoamerican carvings.
They had unique traits and traditions. The Aztecs were known for having a thriving economy, yet had brutal human sacrifice rituals.
The
Oh.
Mayans were really good at math and had a unique system of seeing time in an endless cycle pattern rather than linear. And today, tribes still go on carrying ancient traditions, everything from the Raramuri or Tarahumara, known as the running tribe, who can go over 200 miles in 2 days with sandals.
What?
The Voladores de Papantla, upside down hanging, spinning musicians
the-
of various central tribes like the Otomís. There's even indigenous festivals held every year in Oaxaca called Guelaguetza.
At around 82%, the majority of the country identifies as belonging to the Catholic faith, and Catholicism plays a huge and slightly interesting fusion role in Mexican society.
Catholicism in Mexico is unique because it has kind of its own story. Every Mexican knows about the Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe church. It all started by a vision of the Virgin Mary from this guy.
Today, native tradition and Catholicism kind of go hand in hand in Mexico. The biggest example probably being the Day of the Dead or the Dia de los Muertos. No other Catholic community does this besides Mexicans. Many scholars claim to trace the ofrenda and dead ancestor honoring tradition to the Aztec festival dedicated to the goddess of the underworld, Mictecacihuatl, and stuff
Whoa.
like that. You see a lot of holy water and crosses, but there's always like a touch of that, like, pre-colonial Mexican magic added in there, right, Caesar?
It is, it's exactly right. Sport-wise, soccer
Or football.
is of course widely popular. However, not in every region, and many sports are uniquely iconic to Mexico, such as the charreria, which is a kind of like a rodeo, and of course we have the lucha libre.
Nacho
In fact,
libre.
Mexico has 150 pre-Hispanic games, some still played today, each with the risk of dying from, such as a pelota purepecha, which is like a fire hockey played at night.
I wanna
or
play that.
Poc-tapoc, the 4
Oh, yeah,
kilogram heavy
seen that
rubber
game.
ball thing that you have to hit with your hips and put it through a stone hoop.
Can you imagine hitting anything on your body with a 4-kilogram solid rubber ball?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, I can't believe you guys do that. Mexican history extends millennia prior to any colony, and it would take forever to cover it all, but in the quickest way we can condense it, Olmecas.
Teotihuacan, Toltecas, and Mexicas. The Mayans in the Yucatan Peninsula.
The Spanish arrive, you can kind of guess where that went.
Colonization, having the Spanish in Mexico for 300 years.
The people all start mixing, mestizos are born,
Independence in 1810, led by this guy.
empire led by this Austrian prince guy, he gets killed.
French tried to invade. Yeah, that didn't work out.
Benito Juarez, good president.
Porfirio Diaz, good president at the beginning, but eventually became a dictator.
Civil War, although Mexicans usually call it the Mexican Revolution.
Lázaro Cárdenas, the PRI lost for the first time in over 70 years.
Then Mexico's first left-wing president was elected in, and despite geopolitical turmoil, the economy actually still stays relatively steady and doesn't spike or dip, so that's good. And here we are today.
Some notable people of Mexico or of Mexican descent may include historical figures like Moctezuma and Cuauhtémoc and Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, José María Morelos,
Josefa Oriste Dominguez, Emiliano Zapata,
Pancho Villa, athletes like
Oscar de la Hoya,
Rafa Márquez and Hugo Sánchez, soccer players,
singers like
Antonio Aguilar,
Jorge Negrete,
Pedro Infante,
Vicente Fernandez,
Luis Miguel,
Juan Gabriel. Oh, and if you ask any American Mexican, they all love Selena,
actors like
Dolores del Rio.
Maria Felix, Roberto Gómez Bolaños,
And even though she's not Mexican, Lupita Nyong'o was born in Mexico, and you guys love her, right?
we do,
Yeah.
Diego Luna,
Eugenio Derbez,
Salma Hayek,
Gael Garcia Bernal. Of course, everybody knows Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera.
Alejandro González Iñárritu, Alfonso Cuarón, and Guillermo del Toro.
Nobel Prize winners Alfonso Garcia Robles
Octavio Paz.
and Mario Molina.
Some other notable people may include Carlos Canseco,
And Carlos Simhelu, whose entire net worth was about
Wow.
7% of Mexico's GDP at one point. Yeah, he had a
Jeez.
lot of business in other countries in Latin America and the world. And speaking of relations with other countries,
Friendship time.
so Mexico is quite the social butterfly. The monarch social butterfly from Michoacan. First of all, in Asia, the Philippines are another former Spanish colony, and they're kind of like the interesting random Asian cousin that shows up that you didn't realize you had. They generally get along, just not in boxing.
Japan was the first Asian country to come in contact with Latin America, and today they can travel visa-free. Japan has opened up factories in Mexico and was the first country to respond after the recent earthquake, and Mexico was the first to send aid after the recent tsunami.
In Latin America, most Mexicans might say the countries of the Pacific Alliance, Colombia, Chile, and Peru. These countries have not only had a tied history under Spanish rule and do great business with each other, but they also piggyback off of each other's cultures, and they love watching Mexican TV shows and movies. Mexicans love visiting these places. It's almost like they're just visiting extended family.
In regards to Spain, all the colonial animosity has died down, fortunately. We're cool now with Spanish people, and they love visiting Mexico.
Like we mentioned in the Canada episode, Mexicans have been flocking to Canada in recent years after the visa requirements were lifted.
And the Canadian government actually encourages immigration to help assist the workforce.
Now we reach the U.S. I know,
Oh,
you've
boy.
heard the headlines. It seems kind of complicated, but if we look at the overall scope of diplomacy, despite any political hindrances, the U.S. and Mexico always seem to have an unbreakable bond that still survives.
The US has somewhere around 11 million Mexicans living in it today, which makes up the largest migrant group out of all immigrants. About 80% of Mexico's exports go to the U.S., and the
Jeez.
U.S. makes up about half of Mexico's imports.
They cooperate very closely in international affairs, usually backing up similar Western values that the US stands by, and overall, no matter how crazy things get, they can't help but be there for each other in the end. In conclusion, Caesar, what do you think you would say about Mexico?
Well, it's almost as if the people of Mexico kind of laugh at the face of destruction. We have volcanoes, earthquakes, drama, but we colorfully play and dance with death. It doesn't bother us. If anything, ironically, it fuels us with even more life.
Very well said. Stay tuned. Micronesia, the Federated States of Micronesia, is coming up next.
Viva Mexico!
I want to dance with death. Let's
Same.
go to Mexico.
Yes. Wow, there's a lot of info.
A lot of info. There's like a lot. There's like more than a lot of other countries that we've seen from this so far.
The only thing I knew about Mexico before was I had a project on the Aztecs, so I knew a little bit about that, and he didn't really talk about it that much.
Did you know about Montezuma's Wrath?
Montezuma's wrath, he came back for them.
That's what they call when you. That's apparently what people call when you go to like Mexico and you drink water and then you get sick and you get diarrhea. Is Montezuma's Wrath.
He's coming for you.
He's coming for you.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. So I don't know, but yeah, a lot of information. It looks like a cool place. I would like to visit
sure.
Mexico. Go to some of those crazy natural places. That beach, the Circle Cave Beach.
The volcanic lava field.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff down there. And of course, Monarch
Butterfly
Island.
Land.
Yeah, whatever that place was. Or no, the island with all the creepy
Doll
dolls.
Island,
I want to
yes.
go to there.
Same.
Let's
I
go
wanna
there,
live there.
alone. Stay there alone in the middle of the night. See what happens. See if they come alive. See if their eyes glow.
See if Montezuma comes for his revenge.
What if that's it? What if he possesses the soul of one of the dolls and he's like, oh yeah, time to sacrifice your heart. Tries to cut out your heart.
And then eats it.
Yeah, it could happen. But lots of info. Really cool video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, like the video. More Mexico. Let us know what we should check out in the comments. See you later. Bye.